Hi guys, are you ready to learn how to make your very own designer bag purse that is going to transition seamlessly throughout your entire travel experience? Not only will it get you through security, but it will also be a bag that you can use to access all of your travel items on the plane, all your comfort items that you need during the flight. You'll also be able to use it as a shopping bag or a bag that you can use while out during the day. And then it will also transition to an evening bag in case you have to go to like a black tie fancy dinner. Okay, this is the kind of situation that I need for the trips that we've been taking lately with my husband and his work. So anyway, my inspiration for it was this bag here on Amazon. And if you want to skip all the crafty and stuff like that, if you don't mind, you don't need to have a designer bag, then this would be a really good option for you. I believe this one is $9.98 on Amazon. And when I saw this, I was like, that's exactly what I would be looking for, is something that I could wear as a fanny pack on the airplane. I could use it as a wristlet for a fancy dinner, but it could also be crossbody and I could use it shopping during the day. However, my only thing about it, and I know I'm being picky, is I don't like the design of it. It kind of reminds me of like that store Rue 21. That's kind of like for teeny boppers. If I were in my 20s, I'd probably buy it. But I'm kind of at the point in my life where I need to sort of, I don't know, these dinners, I'm telling you what, people just bring their Louis Vuittons and it's like nothing to them to bring a bunch of luggage. And I don't want to bring a bunch of luggage. I want something that's going to transition. That's just where I'm at. So I'm cheap, but I'm also fancy. And anyways, I just like this bag. So I like this as my inspiration. And I thought it was a good design. It's a really good size. I think it's just under 8 inches by 5.5 inches by just over 2 inches, which if you saw my video before with my Kate Spade, I think that's 8 by 6 by 2 or 3, and it holds a ton of stuff. So it's a good size because it's small, but it also holds all your necessities. You can even see that they have headphones and a phone and whatever. You can take the straps off and use it as a pouch. You don't even have to use this on the plane if you don't want. You could just use it as one of your organizer bags to get you to your destination, in your luggage to keep yourself organized, So anyways, I like the design, or I like the idea of it, but I don't like the design. I also am not really a fan of these belt loops on the back because it looks a little tacky. Not if you're going to on a casual trip, this would be totally fine. But again, I want to be a little fancier. Here's another option on Amazon. This one's about $35, and I know this is a brand that's recommended by that YouTuber lady. Her name is Lori, I think. She's married to that flight pilot. She's been married to and they've taken trips for like 20 years or something. She gives travel advice on YouTube. Anyways, she recommends these bags, Travel On. And the reason is because they're RFID protected. You see that they have this loop that you can attach the zippers to, so that slows down any pickpocketers. And the straps are reinforced with metal, like stainless steel wire, so nobody can cut them off of your body. And you can see when they're demonstrating that this lady's dressed up in a very fancy dress with jewelry. She's somewhere in Italy. They're trying to make you think that this would be a bag that you could bring to like a fancy event. But I'm telling you what, it's just, to me, it just looks very touristy, which is fine, when you're traveling. And the thing is, I could probably take this to the dinners that we go to and there would be no judgment. Everybody there knows that you're traveling. But I just like being a little fancier. This just isn't me. This isn't the thing that I'm trying to portray when I'm traveling. So I did think about this bag, but you know what? For $35, you could actually, for less than 35, let's talk more like 25, you could buy an actual high-end luxury designer bag and do the same thing. So how is that going to be possible? Well, stay tuned because I'm going to show you. All right, so here's the inside. I think this bag is maybe 9 by 6 by 1. So it will hold a lot of stuff. It's very flat. It's a good bag. You can see the D-rings on the back. That's where you attach the crossbody straps. And then this big loop on the back is how you fish the belt through to make a fanny pack. So you can see the design and where I'm going with my idea based on these bags. So let's go ahead and talk about how to make a designer luxury high-end bag. So what you're going to do is you're going to search for a luxury designer cosmetic case. And that's what I did here on Poshmark. All right, so you can see I'm scrolling through, just kind of getting an idea of different cosmetic cases and what they look like. There's Louis Vuitton, there's Prada. This one's Christian LaCroix, and it's only $11. That's a nice looking little bag. It's a little thick for my liking, but you know, it would work. This would probably get you through a fancy dinner and all the travel necessities. This one is Christian Dior, but notice how it says perfume. I wanted to stay away from stuff that said beauty or perfume. This one just has CD. That would be a good one because we know it's Christian Dior. This one's Givenchy. That's a nice looking bag right there. It was only $35. There's a lot of options here, but I will say, don't buy them off Poshmark. I would go to eBay. And actually, I'm going to show you on the bag that I settled on, ended up being Valentino. And it looks like this. It's called a black dupe case. And so, anyway, this is what it looks like. I like it because it has the big Valentino insignia V, but it's also very understated. It's what's that called? Embossed. And it's a nice little bag. Now, this is exactly the same one that I got, but I got mine for $20 on eBay. That one was $98. And mine was brand new. Oh, this is another example of Valentino bag where it's got that studded look on it. That's a really nice look and looks very high end. All right, so anyways, that was the bag that I settled on. And I bought mine on eBay for, roundabouts $20. All right, so now let's talk about the hardware that you're going to need to transition this bag into all the different functions. So I went to Temu, as is my wont. And I bought a pack. The cheapest was a pack of 4 D-rings for $2, which I only need 2 of them. I like silver and black. I don't like gold and black. I think it looks cheap. So especially since I'm making this bag, I went with silver. You can do whatever you want. I'm just showing you, there's a bunch of options. You can do whatever color you want. And you don't have to do a black bag either. Look, there's green. There's all kinds of different colors. If you like color, then do color. I just wanted black because it will transition with everything that I have. So you need D-rings and this is what I did. Okay, so you can do whatever you want to do. But I bought these 2, they're about 7 or 8 inches long metal chains. They were $1. And then I bought a shoulder strap, black and silver. You can see there's a whole bunch of other colors, but I bought the black and silver one. And so total, out the door, Valentino bag that will transition through fanny pack, through crossbody, through shoulder, whatever I need it for $25. So compare that to that travel-on bag that was $35, and I have an actual designer bag. So now I'm going to show you how I did it. So you're going to need some tools in order to get this job done. I'm kind of crafty, so I have crafty tools. You don't have to use exactly what I used. I'm just giving you an idea. This is a leather punch, okay? So if you don't have a leather punch, you could use just something pointy, like the pointy end of a compass. Like that. If your kid is in a math class where they use compasses, you could just borrow their compass and poke a hole through. You're going to need a little screwdriver. You're going to need a pair of scissors. And you're gonna need some heavy duty twine. If you do your belt straps the way I do them, there's a variety of ways you can do the belt strap. I'm just showing you what I did. And if you do the twine, you need a wide hole needle to pass that through. All right, so now I'm gonna talk you through how to make the bag. And I'm really sorry, because right at the end, I'm like filming this at an angle, and I think I was getting tired of holding my body at an angle. And right around the end where I'm showing you how to attach the belt straps, it's a little unclear. Hopefully you can figure it out, but let's get to it. All right, before I get into showing you how to make a designer bag, I wanted to do a really quick review of the Temu fanny pack. Okay, just because, you know, I showed you in a past video that you could get a decent fanny pack off Temu. This one was $2.08. $2, you guys, and it's really nice. This is a good size. So if I were going on a trip and I didn't have to dress up, I would just bring this one as my little day pack, because it holds a lot of stuff. I'll show you all the pockets that it has. But first of all, it has this adjustable strap, and it adjusts pretty far. You can see that length, and I can make it wider or thinner. And then the clasp is pretty standard, you know, and it's pretty good quality. You know, it's not going to break or anything. What I think is really cool about it is it has this back zipper. It's kind of a hidden zipper back here. And you can see I also got this RFID pocket with my passport in it. I can fit my passport in here and my phone. So that would be a cool pocket for those things in the back, which is going to be against your body, you know, like against your body like that. So anyways, and I do have to say, because I know a lot of YouTubers really like a good zipper. This zipper is decent. This one's really nice. This is a metal zipper, and it's really, you know, I've seen worse zippers on more expensive bags. $2, you guys, can you believe it? And so anyways, on the inside, there's this mesh pocket that goes the full length, and then there's these two smaller mesh pockets. They're elasticized a little bit. The whole thing is padded, so you could keep, you know, your electronics. You could easily put your headphones for the plane ride and a pen and some of your more immediate necessities in here. I'll show you, you know my fan that I love, and I'm gonna just show it to you because I love it so much. I know that this video is not about my fan, but I always have to show you this fan because I think it's such a good idea. It has 4 speeds, and it's got 98. I haven't charged this thing in probably a month, and it's still got 98%. It unfolds like this, and you can sit it on your tray table and put your phone here, and it can be a tray stand. You can also hang it around your neck while you're walking and point the fan up at you and get air, you know, that way. And also, it's an external battery for your phone. So you don't have to bring a fan and an external battery because this is all in one. So anyways, I always show that, and I know I probably should stop showing it, but it fits easily into that bag. I can also fit my umbrella into this fanny pack. And it's pretty full now that I have both of those in there, but I can still do it, you know? You can carry that much stuff. It's 8 inches by 5 inches by just, I think, maybe 1.5 inches. So it's not a ton of room, but this is an option, again, if you're going on a really casual trip and you don't need to dress up. But that's not why you're here. You're here because you want to see how to make a 6-in-1 designer bag, right? So let's get into that. I showed you earlier that I searched for a designer cosmetic bag. The one that I decided on was this Valentino. It's called a black dupe case, and it comes in other colors like green, but I wanted black just because I wear black, and it just, I know it's gonna go with everything that I wear. Now notice it's It's a nice quality and it's very lightweight, but it's a really good size. What I like about it is a good size because it's small, but it's actually big. I know that sounds weird, but you can see the Valentino insignia there, and on the zipper it has this Valentino. So it does look fancy, but it looks understated at the same time. And if I was particularly worried, I might turn it around if I'm hanging it so that it just looks like a normal bag. You know, I have that option as well if I'm in kind of an area where I'm afraid of being pickpocketed or whatever. Anyways, so that's why I settled on this one. I also, you know, it depends on you. And again, you don't have to use a designer bag. The reason I wanted to go for a designer is that if I'm going to be formal, it's a really easy way of being formal because it's already a designer bag, you know. But you could do this with any sort of makeup pouch or any sort of pouch, actually. You could do this too. You could turn it into a 6-in-1 bag. And so let me show you the main components that I added to this, and then I'll show you how to use those components to change it and transform it in a variety of ways. All right, so now what I needed to add were these D-rings in order to add a chain for it to be crossbody or shoulder bag. And you can see that I was running into a little bit of a problem because of this zipper. So on a lot of makeup bags, the zipper only goes from maybe here on the top to there on the top. And if that's the case, then it's going to be really easy for you to add a D-ring, right? If the zipper ends right there, you could add the D-ring right underneath it so that it's centered in the middle of the bag. But you'll notice the problem I had is this zipper goes all the way down, over halfway down the bag. So I can't put the D-ring over the zipper, right? Now I will say on Poshmark and places like Etsy, some girls have turned these bags into crossbody bags, but they do it in a really lousy way. That is a dead giveaway that it's DIY. And if you're wanting to look designer, you're gonna wanna not look DIY, right? What they'll do is they'll put one D-ring on this side of the zipper and then put another D-ring on that side of the zipper. And I know why they do it, because in their head they think it's gonna hang a little more, distribute the weight a little more evenly, but it doesn't. What it does is it constantly makes you feel like the bag is turning. Plus, if it's hanging on your body and the D-ring is here, you're always going to be fighting that the strap to try to unzip it. So I'm telling you, if you do this and you have this sort of zipper situation, always put the D-rings as far to the top of the bag as you can and behind the zipper, so that when it hangs, yeah, it's gonna hang a little cockeyed if you're holding it out in outer space like this, but that's not how you're gonna be holding it. You're gonna be holding it against your body like this. So once your body's there, it's gonna hang the way it needs to. So make sure that you put the D-rings behind the zipper and at the top of the bag. Another option is you could hang the D-rings here, like that one, what was the Travelon bag, have the D-rings here and here on the back. That's another option. I just think this looks a little less DIY to have them hanging here. So anyways, there's that. And then I'm gonna show you how to do the belt strap, okay? So let's talk about how to do the D-ring. All right, so I'm just gonna show you on a piece of scrap leather, but what you're gonna need to do is punch a hole. Okay, that's what I did was I opened this zipper up and then I figured out where I wanted my hole and I stuck this in and punched the hole to where my D-ring was. All right, but I've already done it on the bag, so I'm gonna show you an example of how to do it yourself. So let's pretend like this is the bag, and this is, I think it's called a leather punch. You don't have to use a leather punch, but I would recommend it if you have one because it doesn't push a hole through, it like pops the hole into it. So, and if you put it on the you want to put it on the smallest leather punch setting, And you want to make your hole as small as possible because this little screw has to fit through the hole. So you see how small that screw is. So that's why I'm choosing this really small one. All right, so I'm gonna pop the hole, and is it gonna pop? There we go. Pop the hole, and you might have to do it a few times, especially my tool is a little bit old. Maybe move it back and forth. All right, so it actually did pop it. It's just not, the piece didn't come out. But once you have your hole like that, you're going to go inside the bag, because the screw part is, this side is going to be inside the bag, and then you're going to attach it to the D-ring on the outside of the bag. So here's my hole. You see that? And it might take a little effort to push it through, which that's what you want. You want a little effort. You don't want the hole to be bigger than your screw, because the screw needs to be able to stabilize into the fabric. And if the hole's too big, it's going to be too loose. So this is actually a really good size hole for this screw, because I had to push it. And push it down as far as you possibly can. And remember, this is the inside of the bag. This is the outside of the bag. And you're going to find the thread and match it to that and screw it on as far as you can with your hand. And then you're going to feel where you can't really attach it anymore. All right, so then you're going to take your little screwdriver and go inside the bag and see how far that screw is sticking out. You don't want that. You want it to be as flush as possible. So this might take a little effort. Once you get it kind of tight, just keep tightening it without stripping. Don't strip the threads or anything. All right, so that's really tight. That's not going anywhere, okay? So that's how you attach a D-ring to the purse. All right, now let's talk about how to make these belt loops, okay? And remember, when I'm doing it, I want this to be as understated as possible. So that's why I made this daisy chain here. Another option that you could do is, again, these are on Temu. These are called belt loop elastics. And you could take these and put them wherever you want the belt loop to be. You could just stitch it from the inside and attach them that way. But to me, that looks a little obvious and a little tacky. And so I prefer having this kind of daisy chain hidden in the seam. It's not as obvious. Okay, so let's talk about how to make that. And remember, I've said you don't have to use leather twine. You could use just any heavy twine, like a cotton or whatever you want. But let me show you how to make a daisy chain, because I know the pictures that I showed might not have made it very obvious. All right, so you start with a loop like this. Sorry about my fingernails, I need to redo my nails. All right, and then you make a loop like that, okay? And then fold the loop over the longer part. Okay, so here's my little tail. You need enough of a tail, but that, only just a few inches of a tail. You're gonna take your loop and lay it over the longer part and pull the longer part through. All right, and then you're gonna do that again. Lay it over the longer part and pull the loop through. And you're just gonna keep doing that until you get a length that you're happy with. And one thing that you can do is whatever belt that you're using, where's my belt? You can use your belt to measure and see how long your daisy chain is getting. So you see, it's only to there. I'm gonna need to do at least that same amount again to get it to the thickness of the belt. And so this is all you do. It's really easy. This is actually like the beginning of crocheting too, actually. This is how you start your rows for crocheting. It's the same exact concept, loops within loops. All right, so now my length is that long, and I don't really want it to be much longer than the width of the belt, because I don't want my belt to be loose. I don't want it to be wiggling around. So that's actually a really good length. And so once I get to there, I'm gonna take my scissors and I'm gonna cut that off and take the last part of the twine and pull it through. And now that's not gonna come unraveled, okay? So that is my loop. Like, for instance, you can see, same thing, all right? Then all you do is take your big eye needle, all right? Your big eye needle, can you see it? Big eye needle, all right? And then I will bite the end of this to make it flat, just a little bit. And then that way, see how it's flat? Then I can pass that through the needle and you just kind of work it through. And then with my teeth, that's probably not good to do, but I'll bite it through. And then all you do is take that and stick it into the side of the seam that you want. This is the hard part, okay? This is the part that, because there's a lot of stuff going on in this seam. Whoops, let me show you. There's a lot of stuff going on in this seam, and it's a little bit difficult to push all of this through all of that thickness, but just keep working at it. You just stick it through and pull and pull and pull. You might need a thimble. I used like a rubber finger grippy thing and just pulled and pulled and pulled until you just stitch that side through, and then you do the same thing to the other end. And then on the inside, you just tie the two ends a bunch of times and make sure that it's solid like that. Okay, so now that I've shown you how to do that, let's talk about all the different ways that you can turn this purse into all kinds of different purses. So I've kind of shown you how to do this. I showed you pictures how to do it, but if you want to make this a fanny pack, this is all you have to do, is fish the belt through that side and fish the belt through this side. And then there you have a fanny pack, all right? And then if you want to make the crossbody, which I'm going to show you all of these in the next part of this video, but here's my crossbody straps, and you attach them on like that. So if I want to wear it crossbody, it can be like that. I can also make it a shoulder bag by taking, these are 3 lengths. I think I already told you that. 1, 2, and then 3. And so there's all kinds of different configurations that you can do with this. So I'm going to show you that now. All right. So now I know that was really great camera work there at the end. I'm sorry about that. Hopefully you understood what I was talking about. But let's look at some of these configurations. All right, so obviously we have this crossbody fanny pack that is something that you could do for a more casual situation, or, you know, after you've gone through security and you're just kind of hanging out at your gate, you could wear it, you know, keep your passport and everything on you close to your body, and this is just an easy way to wear it. You could also wear it as a fanny pack, either turn to the front, or before you get on the plane, some people turn them around to the back so it's not as obvious. And this is what it looks like from the back. All right, and then here's the crossbody situation. I'm sorry this picture is not in focus. Here's a better in focus picture of the crossbody. And, you know, it looks nice. You know, it doesn't look like DIY. It looks like it's supposed to be like that. And that's what I like about it. Now, here's another thing that some purses are styling like this. And that's part of the reason I bought 2 metal chains and 1 black leatherette. It's not real leather. Shoulder strap. Because some purses are doing this now where they have 1 length of chain and the shoulder strap. And I understand, I'm making this video in 2025, and right now supposedly crossbody purses are out and shoulder bags are in. So this gives you the option of, no matter what's in style at the time, You can follow the style if you want to. So that's one option. You could also get rid of both of the chains and just wear it as a very understated shoulder bag, or you could get rid of the shoulder strap. Oh, sorry. You could add the 2 chains in the front to give kind of a, what's that? What is it that does the chains? Is it Gucci or Guess? I don't know. Versace? I can't remember. Anyways, you can kind of do that chain in the front, especially if you don't really have room in your bag to stow the chain. You could just hang it in the front like that. Or you could get rid of the shoulder strap and use the chains as a very small shoulder strap. That's also another option. And so then for dinner, evening events, you can use the 2 chains and just hook them both into the same D-ring and use that as your wristlet strap. Or you could use the shoulder strap as a wristlet strap as well. So that gives you some options. And then you could just also remove all the straps and use it as just like a handbag clutch sort of thing. So anyways, there's a lot of options. I think I showed you 11 different configurations here. So it's at least 6 in 1. You can probably think of more. You might have, some people have those guitar straps still. I'm not sure if those are in style anymore, but that's an option you could use. You could also maybe even take your belt and add hooks to either end and use your belt as the crossbody, instead of just the fanny pack. So that's also maybe, that would be an interesting thing to do. I should think about maybe doing that sometime. Anyway, I didn't show you before how much this purse would hold, but that Temu bag, I showed you I could fit the fan and the umbrella and my passport. I didn't show you adding a phone, but I could also fit a phone in there. But this is my Valentino bag, and look how much more room I have in this bag. I have a ton of room in this bag to hold all kinds of stuff. So I just love it. I think it's a great size. I think it's a great idea. And you know what? Here's another thing. Here's another bonus. Because when you travel, sometimes you lose things or you get robbed. Somebody might steal it. But here's the thing is if they steal it or if you lose it, you're only out $25, So joke's on them. Anyway, it's fancy. It gets you through security. It gets you through sitting on the airplane with all of your travel items you could pack in there, all your comfort items. You can use it as a purse on your trip, and you can use it as a fancy handbag for a dinner party. And all you did was add a little bit of hardware to a fancy cosmetic case. What a good idea, right? Anyways, hopefully it gave you an idea, and I hope you have a great day, and happy travels. Bye.